Today, let's talk about the Orange sound. Any of you who follow the channel for any length of time know that I typically gravitate towards Fender amplifiers, but in my earliest days of playing electric guitar, I was really in love with the British Invasion sound, specifically Orange. I have owned Vox amps, I have owned Hughes and Kettner, I have owned multiple Fender amps, but one of my earliest amps was actually it may have been my first amp, was an Orange. I absolutely adored the band Switchfoot in the late 90s, and when watching some of the footage from their touring online, I noticed that they used Orange amps, or at least a number of Orange amplifiers. I've always loved that British Invasion sound, and so in 2002, right out of college, when I wanted a really nice amp, I started seeking out an Orange amp. And at the time, you didn't have a whole lot of options for music, for like big box music stores. And I couldn't find Orange in the area anywhere. And so finally, I contacted the company directly and found out that there was a small dealer in the Memphis area. His name was John Lobo. He owned a small shop, bookshop and music shop called Xanadu Music. And I think it's since closed down, but it was a very charming little music store here in Midtown in Memphis. For many years, I shopped at his store and purchased lots of musical items, including multiple guitars and even one of his Lobo guitars that he hand builds. I remember giving him a phone call and him telling me, classic, if you ever dealt with him, you knew he really liked cash. He didn't like to do credit cards. He was a cash kind of guy. And I remember calling him and him telling me straight up, look, I'll order you an amp and I'll have it shipped over on a boat. It's going to take a while because I don't have any in stock, but I can get you one. He said, but I'm going to want cash money when it comes in. So I ended up waiting, it seems like probably 6 to 8 weeks, and he ended up getting me a small Orange AD15, which is the baby brother of the wildly popular Orange AD30, probably the most popular Orange amp there is on the planet. The Orange amp shares many of the same characteristics of its British Invasion counterparts. It's got a very particular color to it, which I love, and very, very haunting dark mid-range to an Orange amp. It has a little bit of a bite whenever you hit it hard initially, but it's not what I would call a bright amp. And that's really the reason that when it comes to live, I ended up switching over to Fender and using Fender for so many years, because Fender is ultimately a brighter amp and tends to cut better when you're playing a live band, especially the type of music that I end up playing most of the time, which is worship. The Fender cleaner amps tend to cut a little bit better with the band and sound a little bit better on worship music. However, in the studio and just playing around and just rocking out, I still love and prefer the sound of an Orange amplifier. They're hard to beat, they're amazing, they have a very particular character, like I mentioned, and they share that character with sort of the Vox family and the Marshall family as well. My little small AD15 has become very, very popular and sought after online. For such a small amp, it has a loud growl to it. It is a very, very loud amp. It has an amazing 12-inch vintage 30 speaker comb, and it just sounds amazing. Obviously, the Orange amp ends up standing out on stage. It has a fantastic look to it. I love the color of the amp. I love the coat of arms on the front, the tweed. It's just a great looking piece of gear on stage. It definitely stands out. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Can't wait to see you on the next one.